One theory is strict construction. Strict constructionists say we should interpret the Constitution in terms of what it plainly says, or perhaps what the terms in the Constitution and the phrases in the Constitution would have meant to a person at the time that it was written. Let's look at my example of including proportion within the scope of cruel and unusual punishment. A strict constructionist is going to say, first, does the Constitution actually say that that can include proportion? And of course, it's not that specific. Is there anything in the immediate context of the text that makes it clear? Or perhaps, what would that term have meant to a person in 1789? Is it very clear that it would have included questions of proportion? Here's a good example of something that might have been strict constructionism. When I was preparing for this course, I was looking at the necessary and proper clause of the Constitution, and I speculated that it might mean something in particular. It might lead to certain sorts of conclusion. And so I wrote and asked a law professor about that, and he said, no, you're mistaken. And he cited an article that talked about what the phrase necessary and proper meant in 1789. And he pointed out that it wasn't just a term they came up with. It was a common term in the law at that time. In fact, it was one of a range of related terms they could have used, and it had a specific meaning that specifically excluded certain other things. It was very clear at that time period, if you said necessary and proper, you meant one thing rather than another. And he argued that invalidated my theory. My theory of what the Constitution meant did not fit with what the term necessary and proper meant in 1789.